Hello, Broken Arrow students, and welcome to ELED 4343, Social Studies Strategies. Obviously, we don't meet for week one, so I thought it might be easier just to provide you with a video of some of the things to be looking for and to be doing as we're preparing for our first class meeting coming up in week two. When you open your Blackboard, it will go straight to the Start Here page with this note for you. It also has a little information about the course and then my information here, including my office hours. And notice over here, we have the Zoom link, which are the Zoom meetings, which will be for all of the 7 meetings that we have. You'll be able to see those dates and click on those links. And then when we look at the announcements, we will go back and look at the syllabus. But for the announcements right now, not very much here. Just know that there may be some things posted here during the semester. And also I have a course link here for your calendar. That's a great way to help keep all of us on track and see when things are due, such as discussion board and that kind of thing. The discussion board, actually, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Several things on here that you will want to be looking at during this first week. One is the virtual museum tour. These begin week 4, but I'm asking you to sign up by Monday of week 2. That's because I will make the schedule for this in conjunction with the inquiry lessons, the peer teaching that you're going to be doing, which is this next space here. You're going to select a topic that you're going to teach about related to history, culture and society, geography, economics, or civics, and that will determine the date that you give your presentation. But if you will sign up by Monday of week 2 for this, then I can also schedule your virtual museum tours and make sure that you don't have those at the same time. We'll look a little bit more at your historic Oklahoman presentation because that will be coming up week 3. So you may want to begin planning for that already. All right, let's look at your syllabus. I will pull it over here. And we'll start at the top here. Information about the course, and then my information again here, office hours and things. You probably have read this many times, the credit hour statement about the expectations for time outside of class. And also keep in mind that as a blended class, as a blended and partial class, we meet less than half the time. So you would also need to consider the number of hours that we don't meet in this semester and how those would figure in with the time and work that you can anticipate doing. This is copied straight from the course description or the course schedule. So we meet these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, only 1 day in August, and then 2 days during the other months, and the rest of what we do is online. I have checked all the prerequisites and everyone is in good shape there. Here's a catalog description of our course and our course purpose and goals. Do take time to read through these because these have to do with your major and the expectations, what you should expect and what we should expect and how we're going to accomplish those things. So here we talk about how the course is designed to reinforce much of what you do in the teacher education program at NSU. Student learning outcomes. Most of you in class have completed your pre-1, and that means that you are familiar with writing lesson plans, which is great because you will be doing some of that in this class. But notice here that in the learning outcomes, I've bolded the verbs so that you have one place that you can look and see how what is a way to write objectives. often we'll write students will, or students will be able to, and then we'll have this very important verb here that explains what it is students are going to be able to do, and then that ties directly to how we would assess that. So we'll be working on that quite a bit this semester. Our instructional methods and strategies, lots of different ones of those, and they all relate to the content, but also to preparing you for your test 2, your CEOE test 2 for elementary education, and for those of you who are special ed majors. So our Blackboard course, I do expect you to check that a few times a week, at least 2 or 3 times a week. Here are some of the larger assignments that we do. Your textbook you do need, and it can be in either form, electronic or digital or hard copy, whichever you prefer. Notice that we do have 1,000 points possible as of now. However, there can be some very minor changes to that, likely within 20 points at the most. And that would only be in the event of having to miss class for a reason or something else that is unplanned. You can see here that we have 200-point assignments, and those are both near the end of the semester, and we have several 80-point assignments that are larger ones as well. And then the 200 points is for 10 20-point entries that you'll do, and we'll talk more about these later as we get to those back within Blackboard. Please become familiar with the policies and expectations, particularly regarding attendance. If you're unable to be in class when we meet, please let me know that in advance. And please don't be absent if you can help it. And definitely don't be absent more than 1 time, since we only meet 7 times. Here's from the NSU Student Handbook about absences and the importance of being in class. Academic integrity. This is something that has also come from above and was provided to us to use in our syllabi. If you're not familiar with self-plagiarism, self-plagiarism doesn't sound like something, at least I thought when I first learned about it, it doesn't sound like something that should exist. However, there are very good reasons for not self-plagiarizing. What this means is using work that you have created for something else and presenting it as though you are just now creating it. I'm going to pause for just a moment. What this means for our purposes is if, for example, you created a lesson for a class and then submitted it in another class and didn't state that you had already developed it for another class. For example, the big overarching lesson plan that we're going to be doing later in the semester, that will need to be your original work. All right, professionalism is a very important theme throughout all of your courses, but particularly so in your 4,000 level education courses, as these are all preparing you to be the best educator and the best professional person you can be. So that includes things like the way that you communicate in writing and in speaking. It's important to get into habits of using professionalism in the ways that we contact families, student parents, and our colleagues and administrators. So in the email, I do request that if you are going to ask me a question, please start a new email for that. If I have sent you an email and you have a question or a comment about that, then hit reply. Otherwise, you need to begin a new email and include, using proper etiquette with a salutation and an appropriate heading so that we both know what the subject is. All right, and I will say that I am good at responding quickly to emails. So if you haven't heard from me fairly soon, then you can definitely send me a follow-up email. All right, Zoomikit, we will look at that on Blackboard. And you're familiar with the academic policies and things. Regarding student support, if you are having some problems that aren't just academic related, if you feel like there's something that I might be able to help you with, definitely let me know, and I'll do whatever I can to help you so that you can be successful in your striving toward your degree. If there's something that you're not happy about with the class, then again, back to professionalism, it is your job to let me know. I should be your first person that you discuss it with. So please be mature and professional about this. And I can almost guarantee you that it will be something that we can resolve. If not, then I will guide you to go see the department chair and take it from there. All right, grade appeals. And now for the biggie, the class calendar with assignment due dates. Possibly the most important part of the syllabus, or at least the part that you will reference the most. Your chapter reading and your assignments should typically be due before we meet for class. So 4:30 on Wednesdays. For the weeks that we do not meet for class, I make some of the due times for your larger assignments, particularly at 7:10. So that means that you're able to use what time we would be in class to do that work and then get it submitted by what would be the end of class time. I give you some information here that is specific about how to submit things. I don't submit links to Google Docs that I have to open for several reasons, and you can read about that. Let's see, and one more thing that I have included in the calendar, and that has to do with your competency, the elementary test, subtest 2, and the 4 competencies around social studies. I have included these around the assignments so that you can see which competencies each of your assignments relates to. So over here, we're going to have the dates to meet via Zoom. Notice they're highlighted if we meet via Zoom that week. If they're not highlighted, then we don't meet that week. Here are the assignments, including the chapter readings, and then the assignments due. I provide the points over here as well. If it is an extended time to 7:10, I will include that information in here as well. And then as well as the C1, C3, we see up here competency 1, social studies process skills, and 3 has to do with basic principles of geography. Take some time and look through these assignments, and I'll show you where you can also find those larger assignments on Blackboard. You can see down here in week 6, we begin peer teaching with these 2 topics. And then the next time we meet, we'll have the other 3 topics, geography, economics, and civics. And then we have the SSC entries. We have 10 of those. So they're not every week, but they are close to every week. And then the key assessment, which is an inquiry lesson plan, we begin working on this in pieces week 9. And the whole complete rough draft is due week 11, with the revised and edited key assessment due week 12. Notice it no longer says chalk and wire. You may be aware that we are no longer using chalk and wire, although of course all your records have been saved, so don't worry about that. But for this semester, you'll be submitting those just on Blackboard, but we will use the same rubric as though it had been submitted on chalk and wire. And then through week 16 here, and then your final would be due on that Wednesday evening, which would be the time that it would be due if we met for class, if we were a regular face-to-face class. The disclaimer about potential changes, I don't plan to make any changes in the syllabus, but if things arise and that needs to happen, then that will. And then also my land acknowledgement, which is something you may be familiar with, or He may not be, but we can talk about that a little bit when we meet for class. So back to our Blackboard. If you go to Student Resources, this is where you're going to find information about all of your larger course assignments here. And notice that they say, most of them say instructional video. That means that I either have an existing video from a previous semester, or like now, I'm making a new one that is specifically for your class. Here, week 4 is when we're going to begin virtual museum tours, and I will provide you with more information about that, because those we will be doing every time that we meet for class after week 2. There are some additional resources below here, but you don't need to worry about those right now. We'll get into those later on. Now let's get to the nitty-gritty and go to the learning module for week 1. Four things in here that you're going to be looking at, and I realize there's quite a bit for you to be going through here in this first week, but it's not going to take you that long, and these are good reminders for what it is you should be doing. Intro video number 1, which I'm making right now, that I will post here. Intro video 2. This is one I made for last semester, and I'm reusing that one because of the discussion that I do for your entry number 1 primarily. That's the primary reason why I'm reusing that video. Look through each of these entries carefully, and some of these you will need to go back to the discussion board for, and it'll let you know about that. Read about the presidential artifact bag. This is a fun activity, and it's one that you're going to be doing for week 2, and we'll come back to that. Let's see. Yeah, look at the peer teaching and see the branch or the theme of social studies that you're going to teach us about. Sign up for your selection of the virtual museum tour. And more importantly, sign up for your inquiry lesson so that I know what date yours will be, and I can work around that with your virtual museum tours. Back to that learning module. Yours is much easier to navigate since all of these aren't open. They open the week before. They open several days before the week for which they're due. All right. This next piece here, the iCivics Back to School webinar. There we go. This is a free webinar that's taking place Tuesday evening, August 15th from 6 to 7. And notice this is 7 to 8 Eastern. So that's 6 o'clock our time. I have registered for this. iCivics is a great resource, especially those of you who are going to be teaching civics lessons. And you may also be using some of civics as you do your peer teaching, the mini lessons that you're going to create for that also. So yeah, I strongly encourage you to register for this if you can. It's certainly not a requirement, but I hope you will register for it. Now, information on your presidential artifact bag. I think you're going to have a good time with this. The first thing you need to do, though, is you need to select your president. And that you are going to do on, let's see. That you're going to do on discussion board. I believe I'm going to pause for just a minute. Oops, I should have read what I wrote here. It's located within the week 1 information, and you need to make your selection very soon during week 1 so that you have plenty of time to put it together for when we meet for week 2. So if you look back up here, where it tells you to read about the presidential artifact bag below next Wednesday in class. And then you'll see this Google Doc where you can sign up. As of right now, there are 25 students in class. Is that 2 periods? I don't have my glasses on. Okay. So one group should have 7, the other should have 6, but notice that each group I have included 7. So those of you who are among the very last to sign up, you'll need to make sure that only one group has 7. Chances are that some of you will forget to sign up. And so I will plug your names in and then make sure that you have access to this so that you know who your president is. Now back to this. You're going to come up with 5 items that are representative of your president. They can have to do with positive things about the president or negative, or better yet, a combination of both. You're also going to locate a song related in some way to either the president or to the time period. It might be something even like the president's, the song that the presidential candidate used during that time. It might be something that people associated with the president during that time. Oh my goodness, I just realized my my desktop is a mess, and you guys all saw that. So here's an example using John Adams, using a $2 bill, a peace symbol, a pen, a library card, a garden trowel. Now, what if you live in a dorm and you don't have any objects you can bring? That's all right. You can make do. You can maybe cut out some images, put them on a popsicle stick or something and hold them up. But just do the best you can do with finding your items. Over here, your song title and artist, and you will explain to your group about how that song is related to your president. The whole presentation needs to be 4 to 5 minutes, and we do time this. So do some practice with it. You can use one note card, but you're not going to write out everything you're going to say. Your items, your 5 items and your song, these are what are going to guide your discussion with your group. And then after your presentation, you are going to provide some of the information on here. For example, the directions say fill in all the items, including the 2 to, actually that should say 3 to 5 sentence summary down here. Except the references provided. I get to give you the points for that. And that's for turning in your 3 references prior to class. And then what I'll ask you to do is turn in this score sheet following class, preferably by midnight on that Wednesday. As you do this, think about grade levels that you want to teach and how you might use this with elementary students. Obviously, it doesn't only have to be about presidents. It can be about people in the community. It can be about famous Oklahomans, people that they're studying. It could also be related to regions or countries in the world where they might want to bring artifacts for that and use those to do their presentations. Even littles, even 1st and 2nd graders can do presentations from these. All right, I'm going to pause one more time. And that will conclude part 1. And remember, part 2 was one that I made for a previous semester. There is a date referenced, maybe a couple of other little things that are not specific to our class. So you can just disregard those.